Welcome to the Cosmic Buster. My name is Bobby Cody. So what is the Galactic Federation? I've been spurred on to do this by a recent news article that came out a little more than a couple of weeks ago. Today's December 29th. Article came out on December 10th. It's regarding Israeli high-ranking Israeli official who came out and claimed that there was a Galactic Federation that had been in contact with humankind, with earthly governments. So I want to go over this subject matter, take a look at it, and analyze it for my viewers. So I want to first talk about what we're going to go through in this video. Essentially, this Israeli official isn't the first high-ranking official or individual with impressive credentials who's made this claim. There's at least three, probably more. I'm going to go over three of the most prominent individuals who've made this claim over the last couple decades. Take a look what they've said, what they've, the claims they've made. And then what I want to do is take a look at essentially the landscape. By that, I mean, for instance, when you, let's say you've never heard of this nation, Canada. What's Canada? I don't know what Canada is. Well, the first thing you would do is take a look at the power structure in Canada, the government. What are the political parties? What type of conflicts they have? Who are in these political parties, and what do they agree on? What do they disagree on, and etc. That's essentially the landscape. Then you kind of get an understanding of what Canada's about and what's going on in Canada. That's what I'm going to do with this in this regard. I'm going to take a look at the alleged extraterrestrial species and power structures of these extraterrestrial species, their links with humankind in both the past and the present, and some idea of what has been going on, so you can get a better understanding of this. So I can synopsize it for everybody. So it's gonna be really complicated, and I wanna boil it down to the basics so people can get introduced to this in an appropriate manner. So first, what I want to do is I want to take a look at the Jerusalem Post. This article that came out 2 weeks ago that prompted me to want to do this particular video. This is from the Jerusalem Post, as I stated. This headline reads, put it up here real quick, former Israeli space security chief says aliens exist, humanity not ready. This article, as I stated, from Jerusalem Post, dated December 10th, 2020. The article goes on to read, has the state of Israel made contact with aliens? According to retired Israeli officer and current professor Haim Eshed, the answer is yes. This has been kept a secret because humanity isn't ready. Speaking in an interview to Yediot Aharonot, Eshed, who served as the head of Israel's space program for nearly 30 years and is a three-time recipient of the Israel Security Award, explained that Israel and the United States have both been dealing with aliens for years. The 87-year-old former head of the Defense Ministry's Space Division gave further descriptions about exactly what sort of agreements have been made between the aliens and the United States, which ostensibly have been made because they wish to research and understand the fabric of the universe. This cooperation includes a secret underground base on Mars, where there are American and alien representatives. If true, this would coincide with United States President Donald Trump's creation of the Space Force as the fifth branch of the United States Armed Forces, though it is unclear how long this sort of relationship, if any, has been going on between the United States and its reported extraterrestrial allies. Now, before we go on, I want to talk about the Space Force that Donald Trump created last year. I've done a video on that. That video is entitled "The United States Secret Space Force." I'll put a link up to it there when I get the opportunity, so you can take a look at that. Essentially, what I did was, this Space Force that Donald Trump is creating isn't new. There has been a secret Space Force in existence for decades. Some people say it goes back as far as the 1940s. I trace it back at least to the 1980s. I offer absolutely unequivocal evidence that that secret Space Force exists, and I show you evidence. I show you video of these craft in orbit that we have. They're United States spaceships up in orbit. So I highly suggest you take a look at that. And essentially, what has been going on now, the reason Donald Trump created the public Space Force was as a way of taking this secret space program, the secret Space Force that exists, and making it public. So take the secret space program, and now they're going to make it public via this Space Force that Donald Trump created. So now this Haim Eshed, he's not the first high-ranking individual to make claims of this nature. There's another gentleman by the name of Paul Hellyer. Since at least I believe it was 2005, maybe 2006, Mr. Hellyer has been making similar claims. Paul Hellyer is a Canadian defense minister. He was a high-ranking government official, charge of defense in Canada. It's very high. And he's made similar claims. I want to take a look at some of the claims he's made, and we're going to do it via a Reddit Q&A that he did a few years back. I'm going to open that up right now. I'll put it right there so that you can see it. This comes from the Reddit Q&A that Mr. Hellyer did. He wanted to answer questions online to anybody who wanted to inquire about his experience in this regard. So in his statement, Mr. Hellyer says, throughout 2005, it was not a single moment, but the process of learning about the broader reality that we are not alone in the cosmos, that there are many brothers and sisters who have been visiting our planet for a long time. We have to get to know each other and work together for the common good. It was this new reality that encouraged me to be the first person of cabinet rank in the then G8 to say, UFOs are as real as the airplanes flying overhead. This was the truth. So now, there's one particular question that was asked I want to point out in this Reddit. I'll put it up here right now. Intelligent people know what they don't know. People who aren't smart assume they know things that they don't know. And this is apparently an individual who assumes he knows what he doesn't know. It's apparent in the phrasing of his question, and it's also a way that people phrase questions as an attack, and where there's an inference in the question. It's really, watch out for these type of people, because truth isn't their goal. Their goal is propaganda and misinformation, and you'll see it in the way this individual asked this question. The question reads, according to The Guardian, Paul Hellyer, a former Canadian Minister of Defense, has blamed the Illuminati for suppressing technology brought to Earth by aliens that could end our reliance on fossil fuels. Is this a ridiculous misinterpretation of your views? If not, what makes you feel that you deserve to be taken seriously by intelligent people? This person's assuming that he's intelligent. He's not. He's either, the person asking this question is either not intelligent or he's intentionally deceptive. Regardless, here's Mr. Hellyer's answer to this question. Mr. Hellyer answers, The Guardian is close but not 100% accurate. I have blamed the cabal, which comprises the Illuminati, the Three Sisters as I call them, the Bilderbergers, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, the banking cartel, the oil cartel, the transnational corporations, the intelligence agencies, including the CIA, FBI, NSA, the British M16, the Israeli Mossad, and a very large swath of the US military have collectively suppressed knowledge of zero-point energy, which is the only hope to replace fossil fuels fast enough to stop the worst effects of global warming. But zero-point energy was not brought to us by the aliens. God gave it to us when he created the cosmos. The American military developed it decades ago, as did other inventors and entrepreneurs. It is still on the secret list. We must gain access and start using it at once if we want to save thousands of lives. Now, zero-point energy, for those who don't know, zero-point energy is essentially taking energy from the fabric of space. It basically just taps into the empty space around you and grabs energy out of it, right out of the fabric of the universe. It's an inexhaustible supply because the universe is all around us. All you need to do is be in the universe and you can tap into it. All you need is the proper machinery to tap into the universe, and then boom, the universe is all around me. I just got to tap into it, and wherever I am, it's there, and and it's an inexhaustible supply of energy. This is a threat to the oil cartel, the people who own the oil industry, the banking industry. Not mentioned in Mr. Hellyer, claims is also the pharmaceutical industry, which is the second biggest industry in the world, right behind oil. So these industries have a vested interest in keeping the zero-point technology secret. There's also, in my opinion, a potential for real danger, because if we had this zero-point energy, potentially everybody has an unlimited access to energy. Lord knows what type of damage just one individual can do with an inexhaustible amount of energy. But really, what zero-point energy has the capacity to do is completely end poverty. No more poverty. Poverty is the result of a limited supply of resources, and resources equals energy. When you have a zero-point technology that has an inexhaustible amount of energy, anything's possible. It's like a Star Trek world. You can just create food out of energy matter. You know how they have those little those materializers in Star Trek where we want something to eat, and they press a button and boom, food appears. That's what becomes possible with zero-point energy. And that's why it has the capacity to eliminate poverty if they allow this technology to get out into the public domain. So now Paul Hellyer, he has written a book as well that talks about some of this. I'm going to go over this. Matter of fact, let me put up a summarization here that I have on Paul Hellyer's most recent book, and we'll talk about what it's called in a moment. But this summarization says, Paul Hellyer, Canada's senior privy councillor, has dedicated his entire life to banking reform. The coronavirus pandemic that has created a bloody economic mess due to our debt money system inspired Hellyer to write one last book, proclaiming the time has come to end the curse and free the slaves. His case is compelling. But the book is not just about money. Paul reminds us of Operation Paperclip and the German Nazi scientists and engineers who brought to the U.S. following World War II, and who soon seized effective control of the American military-industrial establishment. Under an umbrella of extreme secrecy, they have built the most powerful military force in recorded history. This includes a space force and incredible weaponry that could facilitate world domination. So I'm going to pop up a quick screenshot of his book up there. It's called Liberation, The Economics of Hope by Paul Hellyer. I haven't read it. It looks very interesting. I would highly suggest you read it. Certainly, what it talks about essentially is that the banking industry is essentially keeps us as slaves. The way the banking industry is structured, it's 99% of all the resources go up to the top, and we're left fighting over the little tiny 1% that's left over. Read his book if you're interested in more. I don't want to go too much into that and stray too far from the subject matter of this video. So here we already have two high government officials who have made these claims that they're, aliens are working with our human governments, and there exists high technology that we're not made aware of. There's a third individual. His name is Michael Salla. I want to talk about him now. Michael Salla, he founded a field of study called Exopolitics. Exopolitics is essentially the politics of interstellar diplomacy, of how humankind interacts with species from other planets and other star systems. I'm going to throw up right now a photograph of Mr. Salla, Michael Salla, as well as if you take a look at the top there, you'll see it says exopolitics.org. That's his website. I highly suggest you go and take a look at it if you're interested. He has a whole series of books on extraterrestrials, our interactions with them, the secret space force that exists. I highly suggest you read them. I haven't read them yet, unfortunately, but I've heard him speak enough that I get a general idea of what they're about. Would love to read them. I don't have the income, unfortunately, or money to purchase his books. If anybody wants to make it possible for me to do so, I have my PayPal down below, Cosmic Busker at paypal.com. Give me a tip and I'll maybe be able to afford some of his books. Right now I want to go over some of his bona fides, his credentials. Michael Salla, I'll put those up here real quick. Michael Salla had an appointment at the School of International Service and the Center for Global Peace, American University, Washington, D.C. from 1996 to 2004. Department of Political Science, Australian National University, Canberra, Australia from 1994 to 1996. The Elliott School of International Affairs, George Washington University, Washington, D.C. in 2002. He has a PhD in government from the University of Queensland, Australia, and an MA in philosophy from the University of Melbourne, Australia. So as you can see, his credentials, he has impeccable credentials. Michael Salla has written a few books, as I've stated before, in that regard. I'm going to go over a couple of them and what they're about. In this one, it's called U.S. Navy's Secret Space Programs in Nordic Extraterrestrial Alliance. Salla presents extensive documentation supporting the existence of a highly advanced U.S. Navy space program capable of interstellar travel. Now here we see him talking about the Nordic Extraterrestrial Alliance. Nordic is a reference to Northern Europeans, blonde hair, fair skin, blue eyes. Essentially there's, according to people who in the know, there's one extraterrestrial species that looks just like humankind, except a little taller, blonde hair, blue eyes, almost indistinguishable. They could walk around among us. Nobody would blink an eye. They look human. He claims that they've been working with the United States government for decades. That's essentially what this book talks about. I also have another book that he wrote. It's called Antarcticas Hidden History, Corporate Foundations of the Secret Space Programs. Dr. Salla analyzes in this book the establishment of a breakaway German colony in Antarctica with anti-gravity spacecraft, which reached agreements with the U.S. military-industrial complex in the 1950s that led to the Germans expanding their presence in space with bases on the moon, Mars, and beyond our solar system. I want to elaborate on this a little bit so you have an understanding. Essentially, the claim has been made that towards the end of World War II, the Germans knew they were going to lose, but they had this advanced high technology that they had just been developing, flying saucers that could zip around at incredible speeds. They didn't have time to create a fleet of these flying saucers to use in the war. It was too late. So essentially, what they did was they loaded all this up into submarines and all their best people, and they fled down to Antarctica and created a base way underneath the ice in Antarctica. And they have been developing high technology since then in this base. And they've essentially, after developing this technology, they went to the moon and the Mars, according to those who make this claim. There is some evidence in this regard. I'm trying to remember his name. One Admiral, I think it's not Perry, but one Admiral, I wish I could remember the name of it. Actually, shortly after World War II, the United States sent a whole huge brigade of ships, destroyers, battleships down to Antarctica for some reason. I wish I could remember the Admiral's name because he's very well known. And it was some type of expedition, but it was claimed to be just a scientific expedition, but they had warships, destroyers, battleships. You don't send those on a scientific expedition. This was a major military expedition, and the claim is that they were going out to root out the Germans from Antarctica, and they got their butt kicked, and the United States turned tail and ran back. That's what the claim has been. And ever since then, the claim has been that the United States and these Germans underneath Antarctica have been working together in secret to develop all this technology. There is some evidence in this regard. A lot of people call NASA, the United States Space Organization, they call it not a straight answer, NASA. It's because NASA has hidden a lot of things and has not been straightforward with the public. And if you take a look at NASA and at the beginning of NASA's programs in the 60s and a little into the 50s as well, although in particular 60s, it was all Nazi German scientists who worked on it. They reference Operation Paperclip. Operation Paperclip was, in my understanding, it was one of the operations that brought Nazi scientists to the United States to help us develop rocketry and our space program. So there does have considerable amounts of substance behind it. Let's see what else we have. Finally, in Michael Salla's last book, and his most recent book, it's called The Rise of the Red Dragon: Origins and Threat of China's Secret Space Program. I would ask you to keep in mind, I'm not going to go into this too much, but keep in mind China and dragon, dinosaurs, reptiles. That'll give you some idea of the Chinese, where the Chinese are coming from in this whole big spiel. As I continue, in this book, Michael Salla presents the first detailed account of how China acquired the advanced electromagnetic technologies that make up its secret space program, and how China poses a dire threat through its rapid adoption of artificial intelligence as part of its asymmetric military strategy for replacing the U.S. as the global hegemon. In other words, China's trying to take over as the dominant power in the world. And apparently, dragon or reptiles are their guiding symbol, we might say. Which leads us to talking about the landscape. Now we've set the background for this. We have three very well credentialed individuals, two of them high ranking government officials, who say that for decades there has been an understanding between human governments and extraterrestrials working together, including American astronauts in an underground base of Mars, which again talks about presumes a secret space program. So now what we want to do is lay out, okay, who are these extraterrestrials? What's going on? Who are these people or these species? What is their interaction with us? First ones I want to talk about are the reptilians. Some people may have heard this. There's been allegations that there's reptilian shapeshifters who are actually in control of the planet Earth. I'm not going to get into that potentiality. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not true. There's one musician, Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins, claims that he watched human shapeshift into a reptilian right in front of him. I believe him. He seemed genuine, and there's no benefit to telling a story like this. You can only get attacked for saying something like that. So when somebody says something like that, and there's no benefit to it, and I look at the person, I see them, and they seem genuine, I believe them. So let's talk about the reptilians first. We'll see where this is going to lead. Who are the reptilians? I'm basing this, I've thought this for a long time. I've had it confirmed. There's a group of remote viewers. Remote viewing is essentially, I'm going to simplify it and say it's like a scientific form of being a psychic. They've developed a process where individuals can remote view, and really good ones can just nail things. They can, can you tell me what's in the other room? Close their eyes and oh yeah, over there in that other room, I can see this, this, and that. And they're right. Like 90% of the time, a high degree of accuracy. There's this one organization called Farsight Institute. I'll give a link up there to their YouTube channel so you can take a look at them. They have essentially confirmed what I suspected as well, based on their remote viewing. Many people, I'm certain, are familiar with dinosaurs. 66 million years ago, there were no mammals on Earth. It was dinosaurs, huge, massive dinosaurs were roaming the Earth. It wasn't just dinosaurs. There was intelligent species on the Earth at that time. It was the reptilians. And it wasn't an asteroid. It appears that there was some type of war, and it destroyed the old planet Earth, essentially, and wiped out the dinosaurs and many of the reptilians. So the reptilians aren't an extraterrestrial species. They're an Earth species. Under this hypothesis, they, after the destruction wiped out the dinosaurs, they went underground, and they've been living underground on the planet Earth for millions and millions of years. And, you know, they consider this their planet. They were here long before us. So now, a lot of people, you know, shrug this away. Oh, you got to be kidding me, and it couldn't be possible. I want to talk about something that happened a few years ago. I believe this was 2017. That's, to me, this was the nail in the coffin. There's no question. There's reptilians. When this happened, this blew a lot of people's minds. There's a website called 4chan. Many people may be aware of it. It's a free speech anarchy type of website where they just allow anything, and it's a crazy website. They have all kinds of different subject matters, etc. On 4chan, you know, thousands of, not tens of thousands of people are on that website constantly checking it out, seeing what's getting loaded up there. You know, people load up photos, all kinds of interesting stuff. They play pranks on people. It's an interesting website. But on 4chan, somebody started loading up a photo, and as this photo's loading up, they're watching it load up. People are like, whoa. It was a photo of very clear, very high definition photo of a reptilian taking a selfie in the desert background, and he's taking a photo, and they looked at it, and this was as real can be. I mean, and people are blown away as this thing's starting to load up, and they're watching it load up onto the website, and people are like, whoa, what the heck? And just as it's loading up, boom, the whole website crashes. 4chan goes down. It's down for hours. A few people were able to get a partial screenshot of it. A few people also tried downloading it before the website crashed. Nobody was able to get it in time, the entire photo. But I do have the reconstruction here. They did their best to, from the bits and pieces that people are able to get, they were able to reconstruct part of the photo, and there it is. I'll put it up there so you can take a look at it now. It doesn't look like much when you initially look at it because, you know, it's a lot of the pieces are missing. But when you go in and take a look closely at this reptilian, I'm going to show up here right now. Look at the close-up. Look at the detail on that skin, the scale, and it's real. That's either real or that is somebody with access to extensive high technology to be able to make something that looks so real as that. So, you know, I think it's real. Just as an aside, when I came across this, I was like, whoa, I didn't think I'd be able to find it. When I found it, I'm like, oh, that's it. And I tried to download it, my phone crashed. And my phone doesn't crash very often, so that was kind of strange. So we have these reptilians who are claimed to be, the claim is that they're from the planet Earth. They were here millions of years before us. There's also a claim that they have essentially ruled humankind from behind the scenes, and that's what they like to do. They don't want to be out front, they want to be behind the scenes. So there have been claims that they created their own hybrid species, a hybrid reptilian human species, to act as the rulers of humankind. And people point to at the beginning of the Mesopotamian culture, around 3000, 4000 BC. There's a ruler called Enki and Enlil, and people claim that these are reptilian humanoid hybrids that acted as the in-place rulers for these reptilians. So they're the surface rulers of human, while the reptilians stayed underground. There is also another group that has had an extensive interaction with humankind in the past, and that would be these Nordic extraterrestrials that we've referenced before, also known as the Orions from the Orion Belt. Some people may be familiar with the Great Pyramid and it's the two smaller pyramids around it form just like the Orion Belt in the sky. That suggests that the creators of the Great Pyramid were somehow connected to the Orion Belt and those stars. Well, under this hypothesis again, that's where these Orions are from. They're Nordic, blonde-haired, fair-skinned extraterrestrials who look just like humans. And the allegation is that these extraterrestrials, blonde, human-like extraterrestrials, have been competing with the reptilians for domination of humankind. One of the individuals I'll put up here, over here right now, is Zeus. You've probably heard of Zeus and the Greek gods and the Roman gods, Jupiter. Under this hypothesis, these gods were actually real. The Greeks and the Romans, and they talked that there was no question these gods were real, and they alleged to actually interact with them and see them as well. And under this hypothesis, these Olympian gods, Jupiter, Zeus, Persephone, Apollo, were actually extraterrestrials from the Orion system. So now, and essentially, they're, like I stated, they're fighting the reptilians for domination of humankind. Now, that leads to the Galactic Federation. So where does the Galactic Federation come in with all of this? Under this hypothesis that I've been studying for a few years, and and the claims of various individuals, this Galactic Federation, or essentially the good guys, this Galactic Federation, let me cut to it. There's a gentleman by the name of Corey Goode. I'll talk about Corey Goode and what he's, his story in a moment. But according to Corey Goode, there's a super Galactic Federation. And this super Galactic Federation, there's about 90 different groups in this super Galactic Federation. And these 90 groups are consist of 50 star systems, 100 star systems, it's 100 star systems or one federation, and there's hundreds of these federations all grouped together into this huge Galactic Federation. You might liken it to the United States. The United States is 50 states making up one United States. This Galactic Federation are these 100 or so different star federations all grouped together into this one huge Galactic Federation. According to him, they do this to try to work together so that they don't end up warring with each other, obviously. And this Galactic Federation has been, and this is a combination of some of the information from Corey Goode and from the Farsight Institute. So I'm kind of mixing things and making my own interpretation on this. Do your own research if you'd like. Essentially, the Reptilians and Orions have been fighting for each other for domination of humankind. The Galactic Federation has been working to try to free humankind. They're the good guys under this hypothesis. And at this point right now, it's a standstill. So let's talk about Corey Goode. Who is Corey Goode? What the heck is going on here? I'll put up a photo of Corey Goode over here right now. Corey Goode's story, essentially, Corey Goode, it's an outlandish story. I want to warn you. I've listened to him for a few years tell his tale, and there's no question in my mind he believes he's telling the truth. Doesn't necessarily mean that I believe everything that he's stating. I mean, I think that he may have incorrect interpretations of some things, but if you hear him talk in detail about his experiences, I don't think anybody can deny that he appears to be telling the truth. Essentially, what Corey Goode states is that there's extraterrestrials aren't only able to travel through space; they can travel through time as well, and they have taught our governments this capacity as well. And that our government uses what's called a 20 and back system for their secret space program. One of the reasons why you don't know about the secret space program is because they take people, put them in the secret space program, and they have them work in the secret space program for 20 years, and then they take them back in time, back to the time they initially took them, and they wipe their memory out. So they have no memory of being in the secret space program. So it includes both erasure of memory and time travel. There's a reason why I haven't touched on this, because it's so outlandish. It's tough to wrap your brain around. But I think it's important because of all the corroborating evidence with regard to what Corey Goode states and how he lays out the landscape. As I stated, I still have a hard time believing this and what he states, but I don't think he's lying. I think he is telling the truth. And what he says, it helps us to understand the landscape better. So, in that regard, I would point to him, Corey Goode, and his name is David Wilcox. Many people may know him from Ancient Aliens. He's a UFO researcher who is frequently on the TV show Ancient Aliens. They've had 2 movies come out. The first one is called Above Majestic. I'll put up a screenshot of the flyer for Above Majestic. And there's another one, a more recent one called Cosmic Secret. Pop that up there now so you can take a look at it. I'd highly suggest, if you're interested, take a look at these and learning more about the claims of what's been going on. You take a look at these 2 movies to get an understanding of this whole thing. But essentially, according to this it's all been fought to a standstill at this point. Galactic Federation, the Reptilians, and the humans aren't fighting each other actively for dominion over humankind. But the Galactic Federation, for whatever reason, wants to hold off on, according to this Israeli security, space security defense guy, going way back to the beginning of this video. They don't think humankind's ready. That's where I wonder, where things might get mixed up. Boy, who is the Nordics and who is the Galactic Federation? And I have to be very careful the way we're going to interpret all this. But one last thing I'd like to point out before we go. I've done a video on this. I'll point put a card up to it right now. This video that I've done, it's regarding a photo that was on the White House Twitter account, and it showed the Air Force One, the president's plane. It shows a whole bunch of people taking a photo of the plane, and then right in front of the people is what appears to be a giant human, about 9 or 10 feet tall. And this is on the White House Twitter account, this photo. So I was like, whoa! You know, I said, this has got to be just an artifact of the photo. He's not really this big. It's just some type of digital manipulation with the photo. In that video, matter of fact, I'll put up a photo over there right now of that giant and the people taking a picture of him in front of Air Force One. I initially thought this has got to be some artifact of the photograph, but I did extensive research and analysis of that photo, and based on my research, I think that really is a massive giant. And under this hypothesis, they're essentially protecting Donald Trump. This is a giant extraterrestrial who is in Donald Trump's protective detail, protecting him. And under this hypothesis, I would say, oh, what does he bring to the table that would enable him to protect Donald Trump? Probably telepathy. You know, if you can read people's minds, you can catch a potential assassin before it happens. Oh, this has been a strange video. I think we're all done with this now. It's a tough video for me because you know, I like to have a little bit more substance, and this has been a lot of speculation based on what other people have been able to say. But there's been such a consistency to the whole story from various individuals. I tried to lay out that landscape of the consistency and what I think is the reality behind this based on my years of understanding this. I'd be interested in what other people have to think about this, so I encourage you to comment down below. I'm also going to put my PayPal, the Cosmic Busker, at paypal.com. Money is very, very tight. I have approximately $0, so if you'd like to help me out, it'd be much appreciated. Also ask you to like, share, and subscribe, and everybody, thanks for watching and listening. This has been a long one. Everybody have a great day, and I hope to have a new video up soon.